Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where we talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Viral Hit, Season 1, Episode 5. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So we're opening up. I like that we do kind of rewind a little bit to the month period where Hoban was off training. I guess that maybe the webtoon did that exactly. I don't remember if you really. I think it did rewind back like that, specifically on the snapper side of things. Because obviously Rumi's been doing better as a content creator. Because she's I think she was at 70K in the last episode. She's at 100K now, and Snapper wants to be her camera person and stuff like that. But then Paco starts beating on him because it's yeah, I don't like Hoban, but I hate people like you even worse. I'm shut up, you're just picking an easy target. You just wanted an excuse to beat up on somebody. But it's yeah, because Snapper's no, Hoban's not really my friend. Why would I be loyal to him? I just jumped on the bandwagon because I saw where the future was going. But it's yeah, screw Hoban, I don't care. And so he proceeds to get beat up, and now everyone in class is talking trash about him. Oh yeah, look at him, he has no loyalty. He's yeah, I'm doing whatever I can to survive. I mean, to be fair, that's what anyone does. It's also easy for everyone else in the classroom to judge him, considering you looky-loos who just let all this stuff happen. I don't see a single one of you. The only reason why you're so easy to judge Snapper because none of you are in his situation. Well, once again, he was beating on Hoban, but it's the hierarchy of things of yeah, if I kick it with the person who's kind of running things, I don't have to worry about things. But the moment the script got flipped, he's on the receiving end of those punches and stuff, especially now that Hoban isn't showing up to school at all. So, and even Snapper's yeah, it's understandable after everything, getting humiliated, losing the way you did. Of course you're not going to show up to school. But yeah, he seems like such a turncoat. But just like I said, he's trying to survive, and it's just that's always kind of been Snapper's thing, doing whatever he can just to survive. Anyone else would do it, so it's easy for these outsiders to look in and judge him. This episode ended up doing the thing that I didn't remember the thing with Snapper. I kept referencing it. This episode does it. This is the thing where I'm okay, Snapper. This was going to be the storyline that kind of makes you see Snapper in a different way. I thought this happened after the Paco fight. I didn't remember it happened pre that, but it makes sense why he was also telling Hoban yo, don't come to school. We saw a lot of that last episode from when the storyline is taking place present day. But obviously rewind a little bit, and Paco's cool, you bring Hoban to school, I will make you my camera person again, because he's been rocketing, because he used to pretend to be a good guy, yada yada yada, but he ditched that persona, and now he's leaning into being the piece of shit that he is. And because of that, he's actually gotten a lot more success. They do say sometimes the shittiest people end up doing the best, and that's what Paco's monetized off of that. And now he's got 900,000 subscribers. He's thinking that he could get to that million push if he uses Hoban, because Viral Hit's been losing subscribers, especially because they haven't been uploading, and Hoban's just been extremely quiet. So, and to kind of use this as that final push to get all his get to 1 million subs is extra dickish on Paco's part. But either way, Snapper contends with it, because he's fine, if this gets to protect me from Paco, if I don't have to go through all this, fine. I already made it clear I'm a snake. I will turn on Hoban in an instant. So he goes to the one place he can. Which, very despicable, you go to Hoban's sick mother in the hospital to ask her for her address so you can track down her son and convince him to come to school so you can sell him out. It is pretty effed up and shady. And he was so excited the moment he finally got the address and stuff. But then we find out, his mom was talking. Hoban's mom's oh my God, you're my son's friend from school. It's hey, he talks about you all the time, how he has a really good friend at school. And for Snapper, it's wait, he looks at me like I'm a friend? All this crap Snapper was saying of yeah, you're not my friend. Because really, Hoban and Snapper only have each other. They hadn't really, outside of him kinking with Paco and his crew, Snapper didn't really have any other friends. And obviously no one wants to be friends with him because they see him as, once again, a turncoat of oh, you even turn on Hoban. But it's yeah, him and Hoban, we're business partners, but also we have been pseudo friends in a weird way, despite where our journey started, for us to be where we are. And that made Snapper feel so guilty. It's right, I can't sell out Hoban. He thinks of me as a friend, and I was going to sell him out. It's no, I can't do that, This, like I said, this is a storyline that makes you go like, yeah, there's actually more to Snapper. It's sad that it took this much to convince him to be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't turn on Hoban, but that Hoban actually views me as a friend, so I'm gonna do the right thing and I won't sell him out. Because he tried to lie and be like, yeah, I went to Hoban's house and he didn't come out. So Pac goes like, yo, send him a video message. He's like, Hoban, don't show up. Basically, Paco's going to get like 50,000 yen if you show up here, so do not show up, and proceeds to get beat up until we catch back up to present day, right where Hoban shows up in a classroom at the end of last episode. And we obviously get a rewind to last month of Hoban just kind of being, upset with himself. Once again, it's like he thought he was a good fighter, deluding himself just because he knew that one move, that getting hit without getting hurt. And so he had kind of lost that spark a little bit until he was like, if this was an anime, I'd have that miraculous moment to get stronger, but there is a way. And he watched Samdok's videos, and he kind of breaks down like what he needs to work on next. So you get some of that training process, the self-made protein shakes, because he doesn't have enough money to go do it himself. He doesn't have he can't actually buy any actual proper weights, so he's using like jugs around the house to kind of act as weights as he's squatting, because he's supposed to be building up like muscle and body mass. And then finally there's also like the swimming, because I remembered, I was like, there's no way he went to the pool. I was like, did he actually use his bathtub for that? I was like, I know it's small, but did he use it? It's like, no, he uses the public bath instead, going back and forth, swimming both ends, because he's like, I can't go to the pool because there's filled with too many like extroverts there, so I'm like, I can't be around that many people, so he just swims at the public pool. But obviously he's not going to be able to build all that mass and stuff over the course of a month. You're going from nothing to something, and it's just not going to work that way, especially in such a small frame of time. So it becomes a thing of, when it comes to a fight, you have to be prepared to use techniques. And so this is where he learns one of his first technically his second signature move after to get hit without getting hurt. And he obviously practices it 10,000 times. He has to practice the move like 10,000 times over like the next month or something like that. And it was interesting too, because they did this in a previous episode, might even been last episode, that they were like, oh yeah, they referenced like a certain coach or whatever, and they did it in this episode where they're like, oh yeah, they asked a particular fight or something. It's like, that's something straight out of the webtoon, that they use like real life people and their quotes and stuff, or I don't know if these are real quotes associated with these real people. Like, for example, like this episode, like it's clearly supposed to be like legally distinct Mike Tyson, but I think in the webtoon it is just straight up Mike Tyson. I don't really change anything. They might have like changed a slight name or something, like I can't remember, but yeah, like, because they distinctly changed him enough to not be Mike Tyson, but it's Mike Tyson in a webtoon. And I don't remember who the sports coach they were referencing like I said, I think it was last episode, but like I said, they do stuff like that in a webtoon because you probably can get away with that a lot more than maybe in an anime. So just to probably prevent any legal action, you're like, make this legally distinct enough to be like, it's not who you think it is, even though it's exactly, because they even obviously changed the tattoo on his face. So yeah, just little stuff like that, because I forgot to mention that last time, because they even made a point of showing you like, oh, when they were talking about this coach or whatever, they like silhouetted the character. They didn't actually show you the character like they did the not Mike Tyson character. So either way. Oh, also, we circle back to our boy Hoban, once again, present day, in his fight against Paco. As he's showing Snapper, like, his hand, everyone's reading the message, like, oh my god, he's got stuff written on his hand. It's like, yeah, like, you're trying to act cool, but that immediately goes out the window. That's once again, back to that relationship Hoban has with his audience, where it's like, he tries to be so cool, but they're like, oh man, he seems so cool for a second, and then immediately he does something where his audience is like, I'm going to kick his ass. Like, that's a constant recurring bit of like people being like, I was so proud of you for a moment, and now I want to kick your ass now because you were so lame. Either way, getting into it, a fight itself, Hoban, is prepared and ready because of Samdok's advice, because he ends up pulling out his new technique. And when he was calling it the low kick, I was like, low kick? I was like, wasn't it called the calf kick? But then the name comes up later. I'm like, okay, because Museong's the one that kind of gives it the other proper name. That it's like basically it goes from low kick to becoming a calf kick specifically. And obviously everyone thinking like, oh, that's all he did. That didn't do any damage. But lo and behold, Old Man enters the chat, and it's like, no, it's super effective. And obviously I love the fact is obviously you have Moonseong and Old Man kind of pointing it out. This is the move that Moonseong was talking about last episode. It's like, yeah, you didn't do that move, but now it's like, yeah, you've incorporated it now, just because he hadn't gotten that far in Samdok's videos yet. But yeah, he uses the low kick, but it's also like, cool, you gotta dodge stuff, but also this ain't some like proper fight. So like there's no referee to step in, so like keep as much distance between you and your opponent. Like literally him hopping over desk and everyone's just on the outskirts of the classroom, as well as people outside the classroom just staring in, and he does the low kick again. But it becomes that thing of, is that all he knows? Well, that's not going to work, because Pakgak knows it's coming now, so he's going to defend and be able to block it. But then Museong was like, right, but like, why does he keep doing that? Is that the only thing? But he's like, wait, does that mean? And in that moment, Hoban prepares his next attack, and it's a jab, because it might not just been a jab, it was a very specific punch. But it's like, yeah, because the whole point is, once like Pakgak gets so used to the calf kick, he's prepared for that, he's not ready for your next move, which ended up being the finisher. And it's this beautiful finish, especially where just like Hoban's there with blood on his fist, Paco knocked out, and the other guys try to step in, and you have your boy Snapper stepping in and being like, yo, you try to mess with Hoban, you're done. Like, if you even lay one finger on him, and the others back down, and he's like, yeah, I guess I found my marking. But then, like, it turns out they're cowering because Moonseong kind of stepped into the fray. It's like, once again, it's just so interesting when he ultimately decides to step in. But it was this beautiful moment where he was like, yeah, that was actually pretty awesome, Hoban. I think we even saw, like, him subscribe to Viral Hit in that moment, I think. But yeah, he touches Hoban and was like, it's good, so you won, you can stop crying now. But he's so like happy, he's like, yeah, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It's like, yeah. But he comes out victorious. We do kind of get a little bit of a scene with Yellow Jacket. It's like, oh yeah, she's typing on her phone while she's watching all this. Once again, it's pretty obvious, but I'm like, is it only obvious because I know, or what? Like, I don't know if you normally connect that thing together. It's interesting too when you hear like the voiceover for Old Man. I'm like, oh, that's so particular, because I'm like, that sounds like that's what that's supposed to be, but modified, like there's a modulation on top of it, like what Old Man's voice really is. So that's why I'm like, I don't know, I think that's so fascinating. But yeah, our boy came out victorious, and because of all of this, Paco doesn't come to school anymore. It's not because he was afraid of Hoban anymore, but it was mainly like, right, like he got beaten by one of the people he bullied, and it's like his reputation's down the toilet, which is like, yeah, he's like, despite everything, yeah, you got what you deserve, you bastard. I can't wait for your viewers to come over to my channel. And it's just like, I love Hoban's personality, because he doesn't have like the full heroic personality. It's like, yeah, his personality's a little scuffed, but I think it's such a befitting thing, because he has certain qualities where you're like, yeah, he could be so heroic, but at other times he can be such a loser, but it's like, yeah, that's part of that Hoban charm, So I think that's beautiful. I also love the reveal with the whole thing, because I remember that whole shtick, because his mom specifically was like, hey, you're that one friend. It's like, oh, so Hoban never mentioned you necessarily by name. And so when he came to kind of like check on Hoban's mom is talking to him, because Hoban had bought her a new jacket. Like, no, it wasn't that expensive or whatever, and trying to hide the price tag from her. Because it's also like, they haven't really brought it up too much since he started doing the Viral Hit thing, but he also doesn't want his mom to know what he's doing, so he's keeping that hush-hush from her, so she doesn't know about like the income situation he's got going in his direction. But Snapper overheard her talking about, he's like, because he's like, oh yeah, that friend of yours came to stop by, the one you talking about. He's like, oh, you're talking about Museong, which Snapper was pissed about. He's like, wait, Museong was the friend you were talking about? He's like, I was up here defending you because I thought I was the good friend that you cared about and talked about, but it was Museong. And he tries to attack, but Hoban prepared with, get hit without getting hurt. And it's just, but you see the smile across Hoban's face, because he's like, yeah, I do actually have like a real friend, because like Museong has become a pseudo friend. I don't know if that's who he was. I can't remember if that's who he was necessarily talking about before. Because even she was like, "Was that the actual person's name?" I don't know if he was. I don't know if that was kind of in reference. Maybe it was in reference to Boomy. Because he even said like Museong. That wasn't the name, but maybe it's probably a thing of. Because I feel like they explored that a little bit in the more webtoon, where his mom did ask him about a friend and he did say Museong, but I can't remember. I was like, not unless he was talking about Boomy, because even she was like, wait, was that the name? Well, maybe it's because like she was thinking about Snapper when he came by. It's like, oh, that's not the name he went by when he came here, was it? So either way, I just love that. But it's like, yeah, he acknowledges. It's like, yeah, he's kind of a douchebag, but he is a really good friend, you know. And it's like, yeah, like that's what I was saying. Like, it shows you the more to Snapper's character. So I thought that was really neat and beautiful. So. I mean, I think the title of the episode at the beginning was saying it's called Friend. I was like, oh, that's a beautiful episode title. So I'll go also let you know before I'm even filming this, like because the episode title being what it is, I'm going to use Snapper as a thumbnail for this video just because of that aspect. But either way, I thought it's kind of neat. It almost feels like it would be like, because of the credits rolling the way it is, you almost like, oh, is this the end of the season? It's like, no, there's still 3 more episodes. It's so interesting how they've had that designed like that, because Go Go Loser Ranger had that, but I think that's because that's taking at least a week off. Maybe I think that took like a week off. I don't know, but I'm like, it's so interesting because you almost, those type of things where like the credits flow into the episode like that are usually like that's kind of like an end of an anime type of thing, or at least end of a season. So I thought that was interesting, especially considering we have 3 more episodes, which that's something I want to talk about too. Just catching glimpses of the preview, I'm like, okay, so we're jumping straight to that fight, like the next big fight that Hoban has. I'm like, because there is a little arc that they're skipping over, because there's some stuff that happens, like who Hoban well, no, because like obviously, well, the next episode setting up the fact is they're getting their editor. That's obviously a big thing that happens, but there's like something in between, like the editor as well as like the next big fight. There's a group that Hoban and them go against, so I guess they're not adapting that. Which I almost let it slip my mind. There's also something else they didn't adapt for this episode. Do correct me if I'm wrong. They didn't. What was it? God, what was his nickname? Basically, Hoban during the fight, he wears like oh God, what's the old name for him used to be wife beaters, but obviously that name is not kosher whatsoever. So it's like it's a tank top. That's what it was. He got called tank top strap or something like that, because basically Hoban would be wearing a tank top and he like crosses it so that like he secures his tank top. That'd be like his way to start a fight. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't this the first fight that introduced that? Because like as the series progresses, he stops doing it. But there's a good chunk in the beginning, like when he goes into fights, he uses that, and that becomes like a signature he's known by. But they didn't do it at all. So I'm like, oh, is that something they're just not bothering to adapt? Because like I said, at least from where I am in the series in season 2. Once again, I haven't read in a while, so I am not completely caught up. But it's like where Hoban is right now, storyline wise, I don't see him ever going back to that, because even throughout the rest of season 1, like after a point, he just stopped doing it, and it became like not a point of like he needed to do anymore. So I guess maybe because of that, they were just like, oh, with the animated adaptation, it's like, let's just kind of skip over this bit. It just became like a signature thing that Hoban got known by. Maybe it was a different fight. Maybe it's like the next fight that's coming up in the anime that it started out, but I could have sworn it started with Paco. I feel like I remember it starting in the classroom. Like, this is where it popped out, but it doesn't seem like they're adapting that. So like I said, not unless I haven't read early Viral Hit in a while, so like I could be misremembering that entirely. So that's interesting. But this goes in that conversation of, like I said, there's another like group of people that Hoban calls out. Not unless that happens, not unless the thing I'm thinking of happens in the middle of the next fight. Well, the next person who goes up against the name is Taehoon, and it's like maybe this thing I'm thinking of happened in the middle of that, but I could have sworn it happened like between getting the editor and Taehoon stuff. But maybe I'm misremembering. It's been a hot minute, so that's why I was kind of surprised. I'm like, oh, the Taehoon stuff is going to be where you stop. I mean, it's like, I guess it makes sense, but it's like that's not a lot of the show that is covering. Like, because the Paco stuff seems like, I mean, maybe that just seems super like small in comparison, but also like once again they're not adapting everything either, so maybe that also plays a role in it. We'll see. Once again, maybe there's just like stuff I'm misremembering. Like I said, it's just gonna be interesting to see how much they're able to squeeze into these next 3 episodes. I didn't expect them to get through all of season 1 because there's a lot, but I expected, like, I was like, would they be able to get up to the beginning of some pretty, like, there's a, like, major arc thing that happens, like, partway through season 1 that becomes, like, the major arc throughout the rest of season 1, and it also continues. It's bleeding over into like you're basically kind of continuing that to the most part, antagonist wise, into season 2. So that's why I'm like, I figured that might be where they stop in season 1. I wasn't expecting Taeho to be the stopping off point. I guess I also wasn't expecting. I mean, I guess the Paco stuff. Like I said, maybe I'm just remembering how much of the early webtoon the Paco stuff. Because I guess in my head it was almost like a boom, 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 boom. But I'm also forgetting like how long each chapter of the web or episode of the webtoon is and stuff like that. So maybe it ate up just as much time, and I'm just not remembering. I mean, they're probably also squeezing in a lot more too. Considering like you're talking about like pages of a webtoon versus like an animation, you'd be able to kind of speed through certain things. But either way, I'm excited to see where the next episode takes us. Like I said, they are in the process of getting their editor, and gonna love that reveal and everything. Like I said, there's a bit associated with like the editor and stuff that I'm like, they haven't. I don't remember if that bit comes up because like it hasn't come up yet about like the way a certain person talks, and I'm like, well, the character hasn't really spoken. They might completely remove that bit. It might not even be a bit they're translating, because it's like it's kind of a thing in the webtoon, but like I said, it's one of those things where it's like it's kind of a gag, but kind of a character trait that disappears. So they probably didn't feel the need to translate. We'll see. Like I said, maybe the next episode will. Oh yeah, because I forgot they are doing it because it's like the reason why the character has a certain name currently is because of the way they speak, because they speak like an old man. So I'm like, okay, so it makes sense. So they are still keeping it. Either way, I'm going on this massive tangent. I'm excited to see where the next episode takes us with all of this. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.